In this chapter, we are going to discuss the events since independence to 1956, the events which are related to the challenges the India had to face in connection with the building of the nation. When we talk of independence, we cannot forget the word traced with destiny. Actually, these words were used by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in his maiden speech on the eve of independence, which literally means a secret deal with something that is destined for us. Now, we are going to discuss the challenges the leaders had to undertake for the commitment they had made with the citizens of India before independence. The first is to keep the people united who were together till now in spite of the difference of religion, culture and language because of the common cause of making India free from colonial rule. Second was to give a democratic form of government to the country. Third was the upliftment of the economic condition of the country that had gone down due to the continuous tapping of the resources of India by the British government. Fourth was the making of the policies by the government for the betterment of the citizens, especially for the poor and the disadvantaged group. Fourth was the problem that country had to meet in sudden was the rehabilitation of the people who had undergone the trauma of partition, that who had seen the unprecedented violence and had undergone the pain of displacement. Actually, this partition was an unforgettable wound which was imposed on India unnecessarily. Let us understand how the story of the partition took place. Actually, a few years before independence, the two-nation theory was given by the Muslim League, which was totally rejected by Congress. But Muhammad Ali Jinnah, to meet his political aspirations, proposed the same two-nation theory to British government, who immediately accepted it for its own reasons and decided to divide the Indian region into on the basis of the concentration of the communities. Now, concentration of Muslim was on the east and west of the Indian region. So it was decided that Indian region will be divided into two parts, India and Pakistan, with Pakistan having two parts, West Pakistan and East Pakistan, with no land connectivity. But the major problem was with two provinces, that is Punjab and Bengal, where there was mixed population. So it was decided by the British government to bifurcate these areas on the basis of the concentration of the religious communities at district or even lower level. But this decision was not implemented at all till 14th of August 1947, creating a lot of confusion among the people of those areas. The result was that people had to abandon their houses just at a notice of few hours and had to take whatever mode of transport they could to reach the country of their religion. Majority of the people had to walk on foot to reach the new destination and created a lot of problem, and the consequences of the partition was horrifying. We can count like this. Number one, people of one community killed the people of the other community. It was the largest transfer of people in the history of humanity. Three cities, Lahore, Amritsar and Calcutta, were the main sites of communal riots. People had to abandon their houses just at a notice of few hours where they or their ancestors had been living for hundreds of the years with a question mark of the livelihood at the new destination. People took whatever mode of transport they could, but the majority of the people, including women, small children, they had to walk on foot miles and miles to reach the new destination. On the way, the people were looted, and worst hit were the females who were killed, raped, and forced to convert the religion of the opposite community. Some people even killed the females of their own family for the sake of family honor. Around 80 lakh people were involved in the transfer from India to Pakistan or from Pakistan to India, and around 8 lakh people got killed. People had to live a hard life after in the refugees camp at the new destination. From the Indian side, there was an uprising from the Hindu organizations like Hindu Mahasabha to declare India as a Hindu nation. Getting rumors across the border that Hindus in Pakistan are being treated in an inhuman way, there was a rise in the uprising from the Hindu organization, which started putting pressure on the government to declare India as a Hindu nation. But the positive side of the story was that though a very large number of Muslims they transferred from India to Pakistan, but still a majority of the Muslims showed faith in Indian government and decided to stay in India. And the Muslims who decided to stay in India was around 12% of the then population of 35 crore. That is around 4 crore of Muslims trusted on Indian government and decided to stay in India. Now it became the duty of Indian government to honor their trust and save the rights of these Muslims, and decided not to surrender before these Hindu organizations who were demanding for us declaring the India to be the Hindu nation, and took a policy of secularism and where everyone could enjoy the religion of his choice. After the problem partition, the next challenge that came was from the princely states. Actually, before independence, Indian region was divided into two parts. Number one was British Indian provinces, which occupied around 75% of the area, and the princely states, which occupied around 25% of the area. And in the slide just now, you will see the pie chart which is showing this 75% and 25% being occupied the provinces and the princely states. Now, Indian provinces, they were under the direct control of the British rule, while rulers of the princely estates, they enjoyed the internal affairs of their state as long as they accepted the supremacy of the British government. This acceptance of the supremacy by the rulers of the states was called paramountcy or suzerainty. Around big and small, there were 565 states in all in the British India region. Now, once the British government declared the Indian region to be independent, it also announced that with the end of the British rule in the Indian region, the supremacy of the princely estates stands lapsed. With this declaration of the British government, state of Travancore was the first to declare that it would like to go independent, because it had been given the choice by the British government that the states now can either join India, Pakistan, or can remain independent. So first reaction was from state of Travancore, who announced that it would like to remain independent. Next day, the same statement came from the state of Hyderabad, followed by the state of Bhopal. So in all there were 11 states which gave the same sort of statement. This was really hurting for the Indian leaders who had seen the dream of united India. So the task of convincing the states to become a part of India was assigned to the then Home Minister Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel took this issue with the Principal States on the basis of the 3 points. Number 1, the people of their states are willing to be a part of India, so the rulers of the states, they should go with the wishes of the people of their state and should become a part of India. Second was that if they become the part of India, some autonomy will be considered for them and they will be given some privileges. Third was giving the example of partition. The rulers were made to understand the importance of the boundaries and were told that if they become the part of India, their boundary will remain protected by the big nation, strong nation like India. Though it appeared to be very simple, but it was the convincing ability and the diplomatic strategy of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel that by 14th of August 1947, almost all the states, they had signed the Instrument of Accession with Government of India. Instrument of Accession basically is a document signed between the rulers of the state and Indian Union giving a consent that they are ready to become a part of India. Though by this time all the states they had become the part of India, but for the 4 states Indian government got some difficulty in convincing them to become a part of India were the state of Hyderabad, Manipur, state of Junagadh and state of Jammu and Kashmir. Now let us see the story of state of Hyderabad, how it became the part of India. State of Hyderabad was the biggest of all the 565 states which were there in the Indian region. Its ruler was called Nizam. Nizam at that time was the richest person of the world. Indian government signed a standstill agreement with the state of Hyderabad for a year with the negotiations going on. In the meantime, what happened? There was a movement from the peasants who were the victims of the oppressing rule of the Nizam. Later, the movement was joined by a large number of women. But after the Hyderabad Congress and the communists, they joined the movement gained momentum. To suppress this movement, Nizam called his private army, that is Razakars, who were well known for their cruelty like killing, maiming, raping, especially to the non-Muslims. It resulted in the clashes and there was a problem in the area. Indian government was having an eye on the situation, finding the situation going tense, especially in the Hyderabad town. Indian government ordered Indian army to take control of the solution and finally the Nizam of Hyderabad surrendered and an accession of instrument was written in September 1948 and this way Hyderabad state became a part of India. Now let us see the story of Manipur, how Manipur became the part of India. Bose Chandra Singh was the king of Manipur state. He was made to agree to sign the Instrument of Accession, but in the meantime, there was some uprising or some pressure from the public, and in turn, he had to announce the elections in the state in June 1948. And this way, Manipur was the first state to undergo universal adult franchise and became the first democratic monarch with Bose Chandra Singh as its king. Now in the Manipur assembly there were the mixed voices. Manipur Congress on one side was in favor of merger while the opposition was not. But somehow Indian government managed to have the merger agreement signed by King Bodh Chandra Singh, who did it without the permission of the assembly. Though there was some annoyance and anger in the public, but somehow the Manipur became a part of India. After this, there was the problem how to reorganize the states. This was another challenge the country had to resolve or country faced. Actually, in the Nagpur session of Congress in 1920, means around 20 years prior to independence, it was agreed in principle that once the country gets independence, the states will be reorganized on the basis of linguistic plurality. But after the incident of partition, there was some fear in the minds of the central leaders that if we reorganize the states on the basis of linguistic plurality, it may further lead to division, disruption and disintegration. Afraid of this one, they postponed the reorganization of the states and put the issue on hold. At the same time, Vishal Andhra movement was going on in Madras province by the Telugu speaking people who were demanding for a separate state Andhra for Telugu speaking people. Now the central leaders putting the state reorganization on hold provoked the local leaders, and this decision of the central government acted as a vaccination to the Vishal Andhra movement, and the famous Congress leader and veteran Gandhian Poti Shiramolu declared to go on indefinite fast in support of the movement and died after 56 days. With the death of this famous Congress leader, there was an unrest in the movement. Many MLAs, they resigned in support of this movement and people took to streets. Now to suppress this movement, police had to open the fire, which resulted in the killing of the many people associated with the movement, and the things became again worse. Indian government, finding the condition going out of control, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru announced that we are ready to agree to the demand for the separate state for the Telugu speaking people, and this announcement was made by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in December 52, and a separate state Andhra Pradesh came into being in October 1953. Now with the formation of separate state Andhra Pradesh for the Telugu speaking people, the same type of uprising started coming from the other parts of the country who started demanding for reorganizing the states on the basis of linguistic plurality. Reading the situation, the central government decided to form a committee called State Reorganization Commission in 1953 itself, who gave its recommendation in 1956, and an act was made in 1956 itself called 1956 Act, which led to the formation of 14 states and 6 union territories. Though states were made on the basis of linguistic plurality, but here I would like to emphasize 2 states, that is Bombay State and Punjab, where in Bombay State there were communities speaking 2 different languages, that is Gujarati and Marathi. So later on in 1960, Bombay State was divided on the basis of the language, that is it was converted into Gujarat State and Maharashtra State. Same way, Punjab was again having 2 communities speaking 2 different languages, Punjabi and Hindi. Hindi, due to its slight difference in the accent, was called Haryanvi. So Punjab was divided into 2 parts in 1966, that is Punjab and Haryana. With the passage of time, more and more states, they kept carving from the parent state. So just after the end of the lecture, you'll find both the slides. One slide giving the states and the union territory at the time 1956 after the reorganization, and the latest list with the states and the union territories. Now with the passive time, just as now I said, with the passage time, the states kept on increasing, but there is one example where one state was erased, and that is state of Jammu and Kashmir, which were erased after the repealing of the 370 Act in 2019, and the state was erased and was converted into two union territories, that is Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir. Now, with this, we come to the end of the lecture, and I hope after going through the video you can answer any question related to this chapter, but still for your convenience we have taken up all the questions given at the end of the book, and in addition we have taken 20 to 22 more questions in the format of question and answer, so that it is easy for you to read them, go through and handle the examination conveniently. And with this we come to the end, and thank you very much and have a good day. One more information I want to give you is that, as I said just now, the notes are available in the form of question and answer, and if you want to have these notes, you can go through the description and have the link over there. Secondly, if you want notification for more of such videos, that the videos of the other chapters of political science class 12th, then you can subscribe and press the bell icon. Thank you very much. Once again, have a nice day.